Okay, good afternoon, everybody. We will welcome to a Cumberland County Commissioners Finance meeting. This is July 26, 2023, 1 hour, 1:30 p.m. arrived. We'll get started, and we always open the meeting with an opportunity for public comment. There's no one in the room and no one online. Okay. All right, so that moves us to item 3, which you have the minutes in hand of our July 19 meeting. Looking for action on that today.
Move to approve the minutes of July 19th.
A second.
Okay, moved and seconded. All in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, that moves us to item 4, which is our topics of discussion for today. We have 2 listed. First is discussion and approval, EECBG, provide form of the grant application, grant acceptance. Mr. Stoner is here to brief us on what this means.
Sure. So, Commissioners, you likely recall in April, we had authorization for action to submit a pre-application to the Department of Energy for the Energy Efficiency Conservation Block Grant Programs Formula Program. County received $274,000, some change out of that. So we're here today to talk about the specific use of that grant and what we're proposing. You can see this little slide deck I put together for you, actually borrowed from the Department of Energy. So thanks to them for doing such a good job on their webinars. I don't have to create something new. So they have formula grants that are put out there based on population. So back in 2009, we also received one of these grants through at the time, the American Recovery and Rescue Accident era, if you recall that. That at the time was about $2.3 million. So it's substantially less than what we've received before. Local governments receive this money. There's also a competitive grant program. Some of those are reserved more for the folks that haven't been recipients of formula grants. So for us, our purposes, we're receiving the formula grant. The eligible uses are really the same as what you were back in 2009, 2010 timeframe. Energy efficiency is the key focus of the program. So they've listed a variety of different uses that could be included. One of the changes to the program though was between having a grant or a new program they call a voucher. So grants would follow the traditional federal process. It's the application, receive funding. There's a lot of different touch points there to meet their administrative requirements. With the vouchers now, really they're identifying a series of activities that you can undertake. Then they would simply provide you money. You can undertake that activity that they've pre-screened, and it really cuts down on the administrative burden for the applicants and also for Department of Energy. So they're really recommending that we follow the voucher process. So when we say this is a grant application, really be more of the voucher process. Right now, we're a little bit ahead of the game. So the voucher rules and regulations haven't really been developed. They'll be developed in September. So I've talked to our Department of Energy representatives that make a voucher application to really save you some time and effort. And do that in September. So really, our voucher would be for our electric vehicle purchase. So I think Brent briefed you last week through the finance meeting on a capital program. We had $400,000 to buy 8 electric vehicles, and then we have some funding from DEP for the charging infrastructure. So electric vehicles is one of the eligible uses through the EECBG program. It's also one of the areas under the voucher program where they've laid out some criteria, offer technical assistance to allow applicants to pursue a voucher. The process they've set out for applicants to follow for electric vehicles, we already have done because we went through the CCAP or the DEP's local climate assistance program, their county climate action plan. They offered us assistance on the tail end of that to help identify our electric vehicle needs and really did a really nice inventory and feasibility study on that. So we're ahead of the game and really don't need the technical assistance from the Department of Energy. We just need the money in the form of a voucher. In terms of the application period, we have to apply by January 31st of 2024. Again, we're ahead of the game, but for the purchase of our electric vehicles, Brent's working right now with vendors to get pricing and delivery. There's heavy demand for electric vehicles right now, so we're not quite sure when that will come in, but we want to match up our approval of this grant, our voucher for the EECBG program with the purchase of those electric vehicles so that we can use the money for this. Unfortunately, this program can't be a reimbursement where we would spend the money now and buy the vehicles and then be reimbursed later through the program. We need to have an approved application on file with the DOE to be able to use it for electric vehicles. So what we're asking for today is one, to make sure that the commissioners are comfortable spending our EECBG allocation on those electric vehicles. I think it offsets the costs of the capital request that Brent had a few weeks ago. And then the second piece would be to authorize me to use the PAGE system. So every federal agency or state agency has its own electronic grant management system. DOE is PAGE. To be authorized me to work with Keith to execute the program documentation in the PAGE system when we see that our voucher has been approved and ready for us to accept. That's really all I had. Wanted to give you a quick overview, answer any questions you may have about our proposal to spend the money on the electric vehicles.
I don't have any.
What was the total cost of those vehicles?
It was a little over $400,000. So this will cover a portion of it.
Yeah.
Not the full amount.
I don't have any questions.
I really don't need to get good briefings on this stuff, so this is thorough. So the questions before us, you're looking for the approval today, I see. Sure. All right, so if there's no questions, do we have a motion?
I will move to approve the EECBG combined formula grant application and grant acceptance of $274,270 to be used to purchase 8 electric vehicles.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. If there's no questions, we'll all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Terrific. Okay, that brings us to our other discussion item. This also features Mr. Stoner. This is the PAGE grant management system. So, go ahead and tell us what that is.
Sure, this would just be authorization for me to use the PAGE system, which is a grant management system, work with Keith to execute all the contract documents and program documentation, and we'll go through this.
It seems like the Department of Energy is moving in the same direction that the U.S. Treasury did with CARES and ARPA, where they're kind of combining this process and making it, I think, a lot harder to fit within our process of how we have traditionally had those documents flowing for signature. So I think it does make sense to sort of simplify that process as long as everybody's fully aware of, what the grant award is, because they're kind of giving us the grant award before we've actually really applied for it, essentially.
Yeah, a secret that I probably shouldn't tell. I think the statute of limitations has expired. Back in 2009, when we did the EECBG program through the Department of Energy, they had an online system then. I actually inadvertently approved the grant and all the contract documents in one click shortly after I received it. So they were back in 2009. They were ahead of the game with terms of electronic grants management. So the system's good. Like Stacy said, sometimes it doesn't work real well with what we have here, but anything that comes through that, I'm not doing any independent approvals. I'm sharing it with Keith, sharing it with Stacy. If there are issues that come up that we want the board to look at, we will bring those forward.
All right, so you need an approval on this to execute that. So do we have a motion?
Yeah, I'll move to authorize Kirk Stoner to submit the formula grant application and to execute contract documents in the PAGE grant management system in conjunction with Solicitor review.
I second.
Okay, moved and seconded. If there's no further questions, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, very good. We have no other topics of discussion listed under number 4. Number 5, which is other business. Do we have additional business that's not on the agenda?
Just a quick update for what I sent everyone an email about the County Planning Commission survey on our comp plan land partnerships plan. So as you review that, if you have questions or comments, let me know.
Okay. They did a nice review of that at Planning Commission.
Okay, so noted. Any other business? Anyone? Staff, sure. If not, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
Move to adjourn.